Eleanor of Aquitaine, 1122 to 1204. And when she is born, she has only one sister, and therefore when her father is growing into senior citizen status, all of Europe knows that when he shuffles off the mortal soil, there will only be two little girls left, meaning that, of course, the most important thing that would happen in their lives and the lives of Aquitaine was that they would marry the appropriate, powerful man who could help them protect Aquitaine. And so there was no real question. Here's some pretty pictures. Incidentally, if you have never visited southwest France, you would love Bordeaux. So if you make a plan and that's part of your travel, plan to stay in Bordeaux for some time so that you can enjoy all the wonderful sights. Spectacular cathedral. That cathedral there, of course, is just a little bit later than her. There's already a cathedral there, but this is the Gothic cathedral. Therefore, young Eleanor, 15 years old, when her father dies, 1137, is immediately surprised to hear she has a visitor in Aquitaine, and the visitor is the Dauphin, the future king of France, the son of the present King Louis VI. His son has come to call. To visit her, young Eleanor, 15 years old, with, guess what? He arrives with a marriage proposal. Louis, the Dauphin, the future king of France, arrives with a marriage proposal, and since he has with him about 1,000 knights, you can imagine how hard it was for her to say no. You see, he had an offer she could not refuse, if we could put it in mafia terms. It was an offer she could not refuse, and I hope he didn't say it like that. But in any case, he proposed, and she accepted. And of course, she was ready for it. She had advisors. All the people in France knew that this was exactly the logical, the right thing to do. And so 1137, they were married on their way to Paris. They left Bordeaux, began the journey north, which would take them many, many days. And now they journeyed to Paris. And here's one wonderful thing to see. This is the wedding gift that Eleanor gave to Louis. It is a magnificent crystal vase with the receptacle so you could put oil in and burn it and have a light. So it's a beautiful light. Gold and quartz and all kinds of, and silver and beautiful decorations on it. And it's the one thing we know on the planet that Eleanor touched or came close to, maybe carried. The only thing we know about anywhere in Europe, England, France. It's the one thing we know for sure that was part of her life and that she brought to Louis. And now she and Louis came to Paris immediately after their marriage. And so now her life begins with Louis. By the time they arrived in Paris, his father had passed away. So he and Eleanor arrive in Paris already being acclaimed as the king and the queen of France. They will be crowned in Notre Dame and soon will be king and queen. Here's a map of Paris at that time. You can see the island is what matters, so almost everything that's important is on the island or islands, because there were many islands then. And then the left bank. So you can see that a wall which surrounds the left bank, and that part of the city which was expanding off the island was all moving onto the left bank. So the oldest Roman ruins are all on the left bank, and the old Roman city was there on the left bank, and the main north-south road you can see out of the island and out through the south gate was on that side. And then here's just a map of ancient Paris. The number one is, of course, the Roman city, which was predominantly on the island itself. Then some overflow onto the left bank. And then the expansion of the city begins to expand with the Louvre and the palace and the walls. That's two. And then more expansion of the city going out to a larger set of walls. And then the 5 and the 6 come into modern times. At each expansion, another wall would be built. and the ruins of many of those walls can be seen. Here's just a little diagram of the island on which there was both the palace, which is still there but transformed now, and then the cathedral, the church of the city. The church that was there wasn't the one you see now. That one is going to be begun during the reign of Louis and Eleanor. So the transformation of architecture is going to take place in their lifetime. Here's a nice picture of the island, which has walls around most of it, and then inside the wall is the church and the palace. Here's a nice picture of the city that she and Louis will live in. Paris was already growing fast to become the principal city of Northern Europe. It was already important in terms of studies. So, for example, during her time as Queen of France, Peter Abelard is already teaching on the island, first on the island and then on the left bank at the foundations of the university. So already Paris was important intellectually. Already it was important in terms of religion. There already was an important school at the cathedral. And already artistically, Paris was leading the rest of Europe in terms of transformations of the art. And I'm going to show you one of the buildings that Eleanor and Louis, the two of them, they have a direct impact on those buildings. Here's the Louvre, which was a palace on the side of the river on the right bank. And so that palace grew, became more important, and eventually the kings move off the island and into that palace. And that's happening by the 12 and the 1300s. So in her time, she and Louis are still living on the island. One of the things that we want to remember about her as Queen of France from the 1140s is Saint-Denis. You're looking at a picture of the Basilica of Saint-Denis, which is the northern edge of France beyond Montmartre. And the church of Saint-Denis was being built right at this time with a new facade and a new interior, and it is right here that Gothic architecture is born. And we know that in all our studies of Gothic architecture, looking for some place where it starts. This is it. This is it. Paris, Saint-Denis, the 1140s. And Eleanor and Louis are the leadership who are part of that. They have members of their government who help and lead, and their chancellor, Abbot Suger, S-U-G-E-R, is, of course, the key figure. But they're involved, she's involved, and all three of them are here the day that they dedicate this opening, this facade, which was the beginning of it, in 1144. So when you think about Eleanor and her marriage and her role as Queen of France, it's connected to some very, very major things, including Gothic architecture.